So right now we are in external rotation. What we want to do is keeping the palm up against the wall. We want to go into internal rotation by bringing ourselves underneath our shoulder. So you're just going to walk yourself underneath into internal rotation and then Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. It's Tuesday, which means I've got another challenge video for you guys. But before I start, you guys know the drill. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, ding ding ding. And if you don't want to watch the entire video, I will be including timestamps in the description so you can skip ahead to the actual challenge. Now onto the challenge. Before I actually get started, this challenge is going to be a little bit different from the challenges that I've done in the past. Whereas the challenges in the past have been either feats of strength or strength endurance, this is going to be a mobility challenge. Specifically, we are going to be testing your shoulder mobility. And if you are unable to complete the challenge, I am going to be showing you some shoulder mobility drills at the end of the video. That way you can incorporate them into your training routine and improve your shoulder mobility. Now with regard to the shoulder mobility drills, there are going to be two different drills that I'm going to be showing you. One of them is a sequence which involves a dowel rod, and then the other one, all you need is your own body, no equipment required whatsoever. So if you are somebody that is looking to improve your shoulder mobility and has no equipment whatsoever, or if you do happen to have minimal equipment such as a dowel rod or a broom handle, be on the lookout for that and try incorporating those. But anyway, let's get on with the shoulder mobility challenge. Alright, so here is the mobility drill. What you are going to do, you need to be up against the wall. You want to bring your arm into external rotation, so your fingertips are going to be pointing down toward the floor, and you want to get your palm nice and flat right up against the wall. So right now we are in external rotation. What we want to do is keeping the palm up against the wall, we want to go into internal rotation by bringing ourselves underneath our shoulder. So you're just going to walk yourself underneath into internal rotation and then reverse the action into external rotation back to the starting position. Try to keep your palm flat on the wall. Next, we're going to do the opposite arm. So the exact same thing. We're starting in external rotation and we are going to maneuver our bodies underneath our arm into internal rotation and then back into external rotation. Again, try to keep your palm against the wall. Give it a shot. If you can't do it, I'm going to show you a mobility drill right now. The mobility drill, all you're going to need is a dowel rod. And with regard to this mobility drill, there are going to be a few different variations that I'm going to be showing you for each of the different joints. We are going to start distal at the wrist and then move up to the elbow and then the shoulder. With regard to this mobility drill, the reason we are targeting all those areas is because even though I said this is a shoulder mobility challenge, you do need good wrist and elbow mobility in order to do this challenge. So this is going to be the first mobility drill. What you are going to do is take the dowel rod or broomstick handle and you are just going to do gentle supination and pronation. Pronation is when your palm faces the floor. Supination, your palm is up to the ceiling. If this feels very, very easy and you can handle a little bit more, what you can do is use the opposite hand to guide you further into pronation by pushing against the stick and further into supination. So just use your opposite arm to guide your arm a little bit further into pronation and supination. If that still feels too easy, another thing that you can do that's going to be a little bit more effective and a little bit more challenging is incorporate some PNF stretching. So with the PNF, once you go into pronation, go as far as you can. Once you can no longer go any farther, then you are going to actively try to supinate your wrist. So try and bring the stick this way. And then do that for 6 seconds, hold it. Once 6 seconds has passed, you're going to exhale and then guide the stick further into pronation. Then in supination, same thing. Go as much into supination as you can. Then you are going to actively try to pronate your wrist, so try to bring the dowel rod in the opposite direction. Do that for 6 seconds. Once 6 seconds has passed, exhale and go further into supination. For this one over here, you want to do 20 repetitions in each direction. So 20 in supination, 20 in pronation. Then you are going to move over to the left hand and do the exact same thing. That is it for the wrist mobilization. Next is going to be the shoulder mobilization. For the shoulder mobilization, what you want to do for this one is you are going to take your hand toward the end of the dowel rod or broomstick handle. Then you are going to pronate and internally rotate your shoulder. So you're going to pronate your wrist, internally rotate your shoulder, and extend your elbow. The way it's going to look, you're going to bring your wrist toward your chin. Then you are going to bring your elbow toward your head, and then you are going to extend your elbow out, and then come back to the starting position. So again, you're doing a combination of pronation, wrist flexion, elbow flexion, then you are going into internal rotation with your shoulder, and then you are going into extension of your elbow, and then you're reversing the action. You're flexing the elbow, you're going into external rotation of the shoulder, and then you are going into elbow extension and supination of the wrist. So in real speed, this is what it looks like. You want to just go right into it and then come back out. So you are doing, again, elbow to head, extend. So you're bringing your hand to your armpit, your elbow to your head, and extending out. Same thing, we want to do 20 in each direction, and then you are going to do 20 with the left-hand side. Same thing. You're bringing your hand to your armpit, elbow to your head, and extending out. This one, it's a little bit tricky. I have done it quite a bit with patients, and a lot of times, for some reason, this one, a lot of people get the choreography off and they find it very, very difficult. Even people that are pretty experienced. I have a lot of professional boxers that I train, and a lot of my pro boxers, when I give them this one, it takes them a little bit of a while to get the movement down. It's not that they can't do it, it's just the coordination. For some reason, a lot of people struggle with it, but if you do have a difficult time with it, just keep practicing it because it will get easier the more you practice, as with anything else. Now, we just did the wrist. This one over here kind of covered the wrist and the elbow as well. Now this one over here is for the shoulder. What we are going to do is single arm shoulder roll. So you're going to take your dowel rod and then one side at a time. You're just going to go over and then over again. And as with the other ones, this is going to be done for repetitions of 20. So you're going to do 20 in one direction and then you are going to move in the opposite direction and do 20 in that direction. And I'm not going to do all 20, I just want to give you an idea of what exactly they look like. Now next, this is going to be another shoulder mobility drill. This one over here, you probably have seen it before. It's a pretty common shoulder mobility drill, but it's a really, really great one. And what you're going to do is take a dowel rod, start out really, really wide so that you can really easily go over your head. And then once that becomes easy, then you can bring your hands closer together and keep bringing your hands closer together until you find it to be challenging but doable. If you can do it easily, then bring your hands closer together. If you're struggling but you're still able to do it, that's where you want to be at. And same thing, you're going to do 20 repetitions of this exercise over here. And that's pretty much it for the shoulder mobility drills with the dowel rod. I'm going to quickly show you all of them again. So we have supination and pronation. You can also guide it farther with your hand. You can also incorporate a little bit of PNF stretching with it. And that's the wrist. For the wrist, elbow, and shoulder, hand to armpit, elbow to head, and unroll. That's the second one. Third one is the alternating dowel rod shoulder raises, call them whatever you want. And then the last one is just the dowel rod over the head. Those are your 4 mobility drills. Now, what if you have no equipment whatsoever, all you have is your own body? No problem, I'm going to show you one right now, a mobility drill for your shoulders. What you are going to do is bring your arms, elbows in full extension, your shoulders in maximum external rotation, elbows, wrists in full extension. And what you are going to do is press your palms away from your body. So imagine that someone is yanking on your arms, only they're not yanking on them, but you are actively trying to push your arms in the opposite direction. What you are going to do is keep pushing as you go all the way into abduction. Then you are going to bring your arms right in front of you. Tuck your elbows in. You are going to open the door and then internal rotation. Then you're going to straighten out your arms, extend elbows and wrists. Press away from your body, come out, bring the arms in, open up, and behind your body. I'm going to show you one more time before moving on to the opposite direction. Open up, behind the body. Now we're going to reverse the direction. We are going to go into elbow extension, shoulder flexion again, and now shoulder adduction, adduction. Flex the elbows, and open up. Elbow extension, wrist extension, external rotation, shoulder flexion. Push away as you go into a deduction. Flex the elbows, internal rotation, and external rotation. So with that mobility drill, we are covering all of our bases in terms of the range of motion in our shoulder. Basically, our shoulder does abduction, adduction, internal rotation, external rotation. It's a circumduction. Our shoulders are a very, very mobile joint. So with this mobility drill, the reason that it's great is because we are covering every single motion that the shoulder does. We are, in the first exercise, we are covering abduction, we are covering extension, extension, and elbow flexion, and then we are doing external rotation and internal rotation. And then on the opposite, we are doing all the opposite movements. So we are doing elbow extension and shoulder flexion, then we are doing shoulder flexion, a deduction, and then same thing, extension and internal rotation. So go ahead, give that mobility a try, see if it helps out with your shoulder mobility. But for now, I am going to retest the shoulder mobility drill up against the wall and see if it feels a little bit easier. Even though I was able to do it, I did notice a little bit of restrictions, particularly in my internal rotation. I wasn't able to get my palm all the way down to the floor. So even though I just did an abbreviated version of that mobility drill, let's see if it improved my shoulder mobility. All right, so I'm gonna give it another shot. Let's see if it feels a little bit easier. Fingertips facing down toward the floor, and let's go into internal rotation and external rotation. Okay, that felt pretty good. Still a little restricted on internal rotation, but it definitely felt a lot better than the first time. Now let's do this one over here. Internal rotation. This one noticeably improved. I don't have to rotate my body as much. I'm able to stand a lot straighter. Let's try it again because I kind of took my hand off the wall a little bit and I want to be able to do it without removing my hand from the wall. So we got internal rotation and external rotation. All right, so there you have it. The exercise definitely felt a lot easier after doing the shoulder mobility drill. I definitely noticed a little bit of restrictions on my internal range of motion, so I think that for myself, incorporating a little bit more internal range of motion mobility work would be beneficial for me. But for you guys, do those different mobility drills and even do the exercise. Do the challenge, see where exactly you're restricted, and then use that as an assessment to see which types of mobility you need more of. Do you need more internal rotation, external rotation, flexion, extension? Go through all the different ranges of motion. If you have a dowel rod or a broom handle, you can do the first mobility drill, 4 different exercises. If you don't have any equipment whatsoever, then you can do the body weight mobility drill that I showed you after the dowel rod mobility drill. But that's pretty much it for today's video. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to smash that like button so I know to make more of these types of videos in the future. And if you're either new to the channel or haven't subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell, as I will be uploading new videos every single day. That's it for today's video. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you again tomorrow.